Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help you get more focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, deep breath-worthy podcast.
Yeah.
Today is Tuesday, the 13th of April, 2021. Hello, Kristy. Happy Tuesday. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Summers. I'm feeling just fine and dandy. I'm happy and I'm feeling a little bit creative today.
Ooh, I like creative. You know, I'm feeling creative too. I think part of that is that we have had an extended morning check-in. We've chatted. I've read the Optimist Daily. I'm feeling good about the world. And yeah, I just want to tell stories that make a difference and create some art and consume some art. Speaking of creating and consuming some art, you shared with our podcast audience a while ago that you are doing a writing workshop. How is that going?
Oh, did I share with the audience?
You did. You told them that you were going to be doing a writing workshop and that you would be doing daily writing. Nobody's asking you to read any of your writing, but how is your creativity going?
Well, it's great that I have to think about it every day a little bit because I'm in a workshop and I get sort of updates from my colleagues, my writing colleagues across the world, and you get up to 10 email messages a day. I'm constantly reminded of what I'm not doing. To some extent, it makes me feel a little bit inadequate, but it also reminds me to think about the project that I'm in the middle of. And I love that. It feels good for those creative juices in my brain to be turned on and working and coming up with new ideas and making new connections. And I am in the midst of that writing practice towards hopefully coming out with a work which I can share with the world. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to get through my own thoughts and articulate my own sense of art.
What you just said reminds me of what Tammy said in our interview on Friday. For those of you guys who didn't get a chance to listen to the pod on Friday, we had an amazing interview with Justin Lewis and Tammy Stevens talking specifically about inspiration and creativity, as well as not comparing yourself against others, but instead being inspired by the work of others. I saw a girlfriend the other day post this gorgeous selfie of herself on Facebook, which I've not seen her ever do. And she wrote this very, very poignant thing. She said, now that I have a tween-age daughter, I'm working very hard on reducing my own self-hate. And it was just this moment where you read that vulnerability on her social where she was like, yeah, I need to stop knocking myself down because I have a little girl or a teenage daughter who I am trying very hard to only see, the beautifuls and the growth and the lifting up. So anyway, I think, Kristy, your art is amazing. And I think we've got some other art to talk about here on the Optimist Daily today, don't we?
We absolutely do. And I think one of the things that I like to, I think I've mentioned this before, but had this on my 2020 vision board, this quote that despair won't save the world. Beauty, on the other hand, just might.
Yep.
And that has become a refrain for me. And I keep thinking about that, especially if I'm low. And what are those things, those pieces of beauty that we can connect to that will lift us up? And for me, one of those really important pieces of beauty that I can tap into is music. And I'm sure anybody who has any music that you love, it can reset your mood like almost nothing else. There's something about hearing a beautiful song or lyrics that you listened to when you were 16 to put you back in the physical space that you lived in back then, right?
Do you have a song from 16 do you have like a go-to song?
Oh, well, I mean, when I was a teenager, I loved, the two were Eddie Vedder and Bono from U2.
Uh-huh. Right.
I would listen to over and over and over again. And something about their voices would just get me and put me into this state of, well, I was a little bit obsessed as a, young person, but it also just reminds me of that feeling of being slowed down and in love with the world and inspired
Right.
by the world.
Mine is Tom Petty and
Okay.
the album Wildflowers. I actually listened to it over this past weekend while, tidying up the house a bit.
Yes.
It's same sort of thing. You hear it and you
Yeah.
go back. Like the
And
music anchors you.
I have to say that song Wildflowers, Tom Petty is one that's on my working on a Sunday playlist.
Yep.
And yes. So we all have those playlists, the music which really grounds us. And it's no surprise, but there's now some formal medical research which is actually finding validated connections between music and physical and emotional health. Of course, the scientists had to go and test this. We can't just take for granted that this is there's a healing power in music, but there actually is. And the headline that I'm looking at is the healing power of music therapy. And it's actually looking at how using targeted musical therapy can really help people promote healing in a variety of different patients. Uses music and visualization. So this particular study is focused at Mount Sinai's Beth Israel Louis Armstrong Center for Music and Medicine. And it's looking at how music therapy can really promote recovery. Andrew Rossetti is a licensed music therapist and researcher, and he works with patients there. One patient who was at ground zero during 9/11 has figured out how to use music to soothe herself and overcome the trauma that's associated with that event. And that's interesting because, Summers, you and I were both talking about people close to us who have recently undergone surgery. And I know for my friend, when she was doing her surgery, she had an extensive classical playlist that she had playing in the operating theater as she was going through her surgery. And this was one of the ways that she was able to get through that in a positive, inspired way.
That's really interesting that her physician or, her surgeons were in concert with that and agreed to that. And I think that's really, really beautiful because, having music that you're familiar with or being able to use it as a tool for healing is something that I am very glad that scientists have proven. But those of us who are artists already knew.
Yeah. And so music therapy so far has been used as healing therapy for patients with asthma, autism, depression, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, stroke, and probably anything that connects you to, your spirit and your body and your mind. And music is one of those things I think that it's a thread that gets all the way through. So we're going to see more research probably into the healing benefits of music, and perhaps they'll even come up with curated playlists for different types of healing.
I'm pretty sure Spotify and Pandora already have sort of mood boost playlists, but I wonder if they could, if we could overlay the science with some of that. And, we listen to white noise. I listen to ocean sounds and Brennan listens to ocean sounds when she sleeps. It's something that has been able to be a through line and through all the different changes and locations and things in her life. But I was thinking the other night, because I do have a song that often will play on repeat, sometimes very, very low all night. And every time I play it, she kind of instantly goes to sleep. So it's my very soporific song. And it's Moonlight in Vermont by Frank Sinatra. So I love this idea, and I love the idea of curated lists for healing. I think that's just a fantastic use of this brilliant art. Well, you know what else helps us heal, Kristy?
Tell me.
Deep breaths.
Yes.
I can't tell you guys how many times we have started an Optimist Daily update pre-check-in where Kristy I've sat down and I'm just spinning 10,000 directions at once. And she's like, okay, hang on, take a breath. And I absolutely need that reminder. And not only do I, but many people in the world need the reminder. And there is a new public art installation that helps us understand that. So the headline that I have chosen today says, Immersive Art Installation Reminds People to Take a Moment and Breathe. A Brooklyn-based artist who is actually a Nigerian first-gen American, lived in Fort Worth, Texas, and now is based in Brooklyn, Akin Ijeoma, recently built a new Brooklyn art installation calling attention to the issues of social injustice and the mindfulness that is needed in an unconventional and compelling way. It's called the Breathing Pavilion, and it's a temporary art installation wanting to create a safe public space that can offer people a brief respite amidst the current period of hardship and loss. What it is a channel of illuminated inflatable pillars that invite pedestrians to breathe along with its pulsating lights. 30-foot circle of 29-foot tall inflatable pillars held up by concrete bases. They glow with LED technology. Basically, the light is kind of an orange glow to echo the color of the sun. And Ijeoma used his own breathing to determine the tempo at which the lights should pulsate. What I love about this one is these temporary art installations are really inspiring to me. I'm kind of getting inspired to potentially come up with my own version of it in my own little
your
way.
Own wildflower.
I know. Stay tuned, everybody. Next spring, there's going to be a thing. But this temporary art installation draws attention to both social injustice and ways of healing from it, right? Healing the spirit and the soul, and knowing that the individual and the one and the person that you are needs care amidst a world that needs care. And so it's an accessible space. It's a safe space, and it really is sort of a paradigm shift toward communion and meditative stillness, as opposed to just the inflammation that has happened in this world. So I love it. The artist is quoted just knowing that this reprieve when the act of breathing itself is under siege. So it's just a beautiful installation. And I also looked up this artist who I was not familiar with prior to the Optimist Daily, drawing my attention to him. He is incredibly gifted. He's a professor at MIT and an incredibly well-spoken, art curator, just telling unbelievable stories. So I would say anybody go look up Ikin Ijeoma and listen to some of his TED Talks or lectures. They're really compelling. So
what I love about this is that it's also sort of embodied art.
Yes.
Because it's not just a display, but it's offering the participant to actually participate in the experience. Yeah. Right? In the fact that the focus is on breath and how important that is. And you're right, having that shared breathing can really help you get through moments of intense anxiety, intense stress, or anything. An elderly friend of mine, this was years ago, but she was in the midst of a physical crisis. We were traveling together, and before she was able to get the medical attention she needed, one of the things that I did with her was breathe in tandem. Mm-hmm. And because her physical state was so inflamed, she needed somebody else to help her breathe in a way that would calm her body. And it's still one of those things that we're bonded forever now because of that moment. Right. And she still refers to that. There's something about breathing with other people in that way that brings you into communion and calmness. So I think this is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, to the whole world and everyone listening to the Optimist Daily Update, take a deep breath. And know that today is going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. There's lots of things to be optimistic for. We'll let you head over to the Optimist Daily to read the other headlines. But we just want to thank everybody listening for today's episode of the Optimist Daily Update. And quick shout out and thank you to all the people who are listening and have been writing to us or letting us know that they listen and that this is how you found the Optimist Daily. We are delighted with everybody who's growing into our audience. We want to keep making this an amazing show for you. So if you have feedback, send it our way, editorial@optimistdaily.com, and Amelia will produce us even better than she already does. We're so grateful to the writers who do the research and the team who helps us put this together. Without it, we couldn't do what we do. And what we do is we promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover the current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
And if you aren't already, please consider becoming an emissary on theoptimistdaily.com. And you can help support reader-funded independent journalism for starting at as little as $5 a month. Please help us keep the Optimist Daily free for everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with more solutions.